Debt doesn't start with a huge loan or a major financial crisis. Most of the time, it begins quietly. One late payment, one "I'll pay it off next month," one swipe of a credit card to cover something you couldn't really afford. And before you realize it, the balance grows, the interest builds, and the money you thought you controlled starts controlling you. The scary part? Debt feels normal today. People carry credit card balances like it's no big deal, finance cars they can't afford, take out loans for stuff they don't even remember buying, and call it just part of life. But debt is not just about money. It affects stress, sleep, confidence, relationships, and even your future goals. The good news? Most debt traps can be avoided before they start, if you understand how they're designed and how to spot the warning signs early. In this video, you're going to learn the habits, tricks, and mindsets that keep people out of debt, not by luck, but by strategy. Because once you know how debt works, you don't just avoid it. You take back control of your money, your choices, and your life. Debt doesn't start big. It starts small and feels normal. Most people don't wake up one day with thousands of dollars in debt. It usually starts with something small, like using a credit card just this once, choosing a payment plan because it feels easier, or telling yourself you'll pay it back later. At first, the debt doesn't feel scary. The balance is low, the payments are small, and everything still feels under control. That's why so many people ignore it. But the danger is in how normal it becomes. You make one small monthly payment, then another, and after a while, it doesn't feel like debt. It just feels like part of life. The problem is that debt grows quietly. It doesn't get loud until it's already too late. What once felt like a tiny balance suddenly becomes something you can't pay off in 1 month. Then 1 year, then more. And this is how millions of people get trapped. Not through one big bad decision, but through small habits that feel harmless in the beginning. The first step to avoiding debt is recognizing how easily it begins and refusing to let normal become dangerous. Why interest is the silent enemy. Most people ignore. Debt doesn't just grow because you borrow money. It grows because of interest, and interest is what quietly turns small debt into a long-term problem. When you borrow $300 and only make the minimum payments, you don't just pay back $300. You may end up paying $500 or more because interest keeps adding up every month. The worst part? Most people don't notice it happening. Credit card companies want you to pay slowly. That's why they highlight the minimum payment in big letters. If you pay only the minimum, the bank earns more money and your debt stays with you longer. It's a trap disguised as convenience. Interest is the reason you might feel like you're paying and paying, but the balance never moves. Even if you stop spending with the card, interest keeps charging you for the debt you already have. The key lesson: debt is not just what you owe, it's what you continue owing as interest grows. If you want to avoid the debt trap, you have to protect yourself from interest, not just the original loan. The spending trigger: emotional purchases versus real needs. Most people don't go into debt because of bills. They go into debt because of feelings. We spend when we're stressed, tired, bored, celebrating, or trying to feel better. That's why emotional spending is one of the biggest causes of debt. You're not buying something because you need it. You're buying it because it gives you a short burst of relief or excitement. That's why stores and ads don't just sell products. They sell feelings. You deserve this. Treat yourself. This will make you happier. And it works because spending money does feel good for a moment, but debt feels bad for years. The problem is simple. Emotional spending doesn't feel dangerous until later. You swipe a card, get the product now, and deal with the payment in the future. That delay is what creates the trap. The smartest way to avoid this is to pause before buying anything you didn't plan for. Ask, do I want this or am I escaping a feeling? That one question can save you from the debt snowball effect. One loan becomes many. Once someone takes on one kind of debt, it becomes easier to take on more. A credit card turns into a second card, then a finance phone, then a store payment plan, then a car loan. And before they know it, they're making 5 monthly payments instead of 1. Debt rarely stays small. It snowballs, meaning it grows not just in amount, but in number of debts. The more payments you have, the harder it is to keep track, and the more likely you are to miss one. That leads to late fees, higher interest rates, and even more debt. People start telling themselves, "I'll fix this later." But later never comes, because now they're using debt to cover debt. One loan pays off another. One card pays off another. That's when the trap officially closes. The best strategy is to stop debt before it multiplies. One debt is manageable. 5 debts are controlling your life. If a payment plan, loan, or credit card doesn't fit your income today, it won't fit better in the future. How poor money systems create debt. Automatically, most debt doesn't come from bad luck, so it comes from not having a money system. When people don't track their spending, don't plan for bills, don't save for emergencies, and keep everything in one bank account, debt becomes the automatic backup plan. If you don't know where your money's going, you will spend more than you think. If you don't have savings, every unexpected expense becomes a loan or a swipe. If you don't separate money for bills, you will use it accidentally and end up borrowing to replace it. Debt happens fastest when life happens and you're not ready. The car breaks down. You get sick. Your laptop dies. Rent increases. Without a system, you go straight to credit. Not because you're reckless, but because you're unprepared. The solution isn't work harder, but it's structure, a plan, a way to control money before you need to rely on debt. That's what keeps people safe. The warning signs: you're heading into a debt trap. Debt doesn't become a problem overnight. There are warning signs people ignore until it's too late. Some of the biggest red flags include: you're paying only the minimum balance on your card. You're using credit to pay for basic needs like food or gas. You buy things now and plan to figure out the money later. You rely on your next paycheck to fix this month's spending. You avoid checking your bank account because it stresses you. You start hiding purchases or debt from others. You keep telling yourself it's not that bad. Individually, each sign may feel small, but together they show that you're no longer spending with control. You're spending with hope, and hope is not a debt strategy. If you see these signs early, you can fix things before they get worse. Debt doesn't trap people in one day. It traps people who ignore the signs and wait too long to take action. The strategy to stay debt-free. Before it even starts, avoiding debt is not about luck. It's about building habits that make debt unnecessary. The strongest protection is an emergency fund, even if it starts small. Savings stop emergencies from becoming loans. Next, use a spending plan, not a strict budget. Know how much you can spend on fun, bills, and savings before the month begins. When money has a purpose, it doesn't disappear. Use debit or cash for things you don't truly need. Credit should be used for planned purchases you can pay in full, not emotional spending. And most importantly, never spend future money. If you don't have the cash now, don't convince yourself you will figure it out later. Debt is not just about money, it's about control. When you control your choices, debt doesn't control you. That wraps up today's video. Now you've seen how debt doesn't start with one big mistake. It starts with small habits, emotional spending, interest traps, and a lack of money systems. The good news is, every debt trap can be avoided if you stay aware, stay prepared, and stay in control of your choices. If this video helped you rethink how debt really works, take a moment to reflect on your own habits and make one change starting today. And don't forget to subscribe for more valuable insights on money, mindset, and financial freedom. There's much more coming. Simple strategies, smart fixes, and lessons most people were never taught, but everyone needs to know.